Once upon a time, in a small village nestled by a forest, lived a poor but honest woodcutter. Every day he would go into the forest to chop wood, which he sold in the market to provide for his family. His only possession of value was a sharp iron axe. One sunny morning he was working near a deep river, cutting a large tree. As he swung his axe, it slipped from his hands and fell with a splash into the water. The river was too deep and the current too strong for him to retrieve it. The woodcutter was devastated. He sat on the riverbank, weeping, for he had lost his only means of livelihood and could not afford a new one. Suddenly, the water shimmered, and a majestic figure arose from the river. It was the river god, with a long flowing beard and a kind, knowing look in his eyes. "Why do you weep, good man?" he asked in a gentle voice. The woodcutter, through his tears, told the god about his lost axe. The river god, taking pity on him, said, "Do not worry, I will help you." He dove into the water and reappeared a moment later holding a magnificent axe made of pure gold. "Is this your axe?" he asked. The woodcutter looked at the gleaming axe and shook his head. "No, that is not mine," he said honestly. "My axe is a simple one made of iron." The river god smiled, dove back into the water, and returned with a beautiful axe made of shining silver. "Perhaps this one is yours." Again, the woodcutter refused. "That is a fine axe, but it is not mine," he replied. The river god, pleased with the man's integrity, dove a third time. This time he came up with the woodcutter's old, worn iron axe. The woodcutter's face lit up with joy. "Yes, that is my axe. Thank you, he exclaimed. The river god was deeply impressed by the woodcutter's honesty. "You are a truly honest man," he declared. "To reward your virtue, I will give you all 3 axes." And so the woodcutter returned home with the golden, silver, and iron axes, his heart full of gratitude. The story of his good fortune quickly spread through the village. One of his neighbors, a man whose heart was filled with greed and envy, heard the tale and decided to try his luck. He took his own axe, went to the same riverbank, and deliberately threw it into the water. Then he began to wail and cry loudly. Just as before, the river god appeared and asked what was wrong. The greedy neighbor told him he had lost his axe. The river god dove into the water and brought up the golden axe. "Is this yours?" he asked. Without a moment's hesitation, the greedy man's eyes widened. Yes, that is my axe," he cried, reaching for it. The river god's expression turned stern. Disgusted by the man's dishonesty and greed, he said, "You are a liar. This is not your axe." With that, he took the golden axe and disappeared back into the river, leaving the greedy neighbor without the golden axe and without his own. The dishonest neighbor was left with nothing, having lost what he had in his greedy attempt to get more.